This little dog had just found his very first meat bone when he started racing excitedly through the streets. But in the next instant, his lunch was knocked right out of his mouth and sent flying. The dog frantically searched through the crowd, knowing that if he couldn't find it, he'd be going hungry again today. Just then, a military unit happened to be marching down the street. But the dog couldn't care less about the spectacle. His eyes were fixed longingly on the bread in a woman's hands. Private Robert noticed him and could tell the poor thing was starving. So he reached into his pocket, pulled out a cracker, and tossed it to the dog. The dog gobbled down the cracker in one bite, but it barely made a dent in his hunger. That's when inspiration struck. If he wanted more food, he'd have to get creative. He quickly caught up with the troops and followed Robert all the way back to the military base. But the guard at the gate stopped him cold. Realizing he wasn't welcome, the dog was about to leave when he caught a whiff of something delicious. Through a gap in the wooden fence, he spotted Robert training with the other soldiers. The dog's excitement was instant. He immediately started digging a hole and squeezed through the gap into the base. Following that amazing smell, he made his way to the kitchen where he saw tables loaded with spare ribs. The dog was absolutely mesmerized, but before he could take a bite, he nearly got whacked by a cleaver. The cook hurled a pot at him, sending the terrified dog scrambling for cover. He bolted out of there so fast that he crashed headfirst into a soldier, and when he looked up, it was Robert himself. Desperate to get Robert's attention, the dog let out a bark, which unfortunately caught the drill sergeant's attention instead. When the sergeant demanded to know whose dog it was, the dog immediately looked up at Robert. Robert panicked and tried to signal with his eyes for the dog to leave, but surprisingly, the sergeant wasn't angry at all. Instead, he told Robert to take good care of the dog. The sergeant then resumed training, and amazingly, the dog started copying the soldier's stance perfectly. Seeing such an obedient dog, even the tough sergeant couldn't help but laugh. With the sergeant's blessing, the dog began his military life alongside Robert. Every day, the dog joined the soldiers for training. At first, he couldn't tell his left from his right, but as time passed, not only could he follow commands and execute the corresponding moves, he could also excel at high-intensity training. The dog became an invaluable assistant too. Whenever the soldiers finished target practice, he'd retrieve the targets and bring them to the sergeant for inspection. Everyone grew to love him, and they even gave him a name, Stubby. But good times never last forever. One day, a general arrived for a surprise inspection. When he saw Stubby, he was furious and demanded to know why there was a dog in the military camp. This time, Robert bravely stepped forward, told the general that Stubby was his dog, and gave a crisp military salute. Seeing Robert salute, Stubby mimicked the gesture perfectly. Witnessing this moment, the general's opinion of him changed completely. He granted special permission for Stubby to remain at the base as an official soldier. Then came the day when the soldiers received orders from headquarters. They were being deployed to the dangerous battlefield. The general wanted Stubby to stay behind at the base, and Robert became deeply worried. Stubby seemed to sense that something was wrong too.